Sometimes I get an email or a message from one of you listeners, and it makes me think about things for quite a long time afterwards, after receiving it. One such example is a message I got probably over a year now from someone telling me that I should be more careful when I'm using the word America. So, for example, when I'm using the word America to describe American people, or I'm using the word America to talk about American English. And I'm not sure exactly where this person was from, they didn't say, but I imagine they're probably not from the US, which is what most of English-speaking people mean when they say American English. They really mean US English, or American people, they really mean US people. I don't know how to describe that well, and I think that might be part of the problem. So, firstly, why do I and everyone else seem to use the word American in the way that we do? I've thought about it on and off, like I said, since receiving the email, and I think it's a very odd thing to do, in all honesty. So, I mean, I'm English, and I refer to myself as being English, and I suppose I could even say that I speak English, which sounds a bit weird, or British English. But I wouldn't go as far to say I speak European English. I mean, I suppose in some sense that would make sense, but I've never heard anyone refer to it as European English, partly because Europe is made up of many, many countries, and they most certainly don't all speak English. But when we refer to American English, we're actually doing exactly the same thing as, if we were to call British English European English. Because, as I'm sure you all know, America is not just the United States. We've got North America, Central America, and South America. And it's a huge amount of land. It really is absolutely massive. So to use the word Americans to only refer to people who live in the US, or use the word American English to only refer to English spoken in the US, is a bit weird. I mean, imagine if I generalized Europeans, right? And I was just talking about people from Britain. That makes no sense at all. Absolutely no sense at all. And I have never even thought about this until receiving that email. So I thought, oh, okay, so I've been making this mistake for absolutely years, all of my life, to be perfectly honest. So what's the correct terminology? How do we refer to people in the United States? So my first port of call, or the first place I checked, was Wikipedia. What does Wikipedia say? And it says that people who live in the US are known as Americans. I thought, okay, that's not really the answer I wanted. But it makes sense. I make this mistake, as we all do, because the people who live in the US refer to themselves as Americans. And this has an effect on the whole world, I believe. I mean, if I was to watch the news, I don't know, BBC News, they would refer to people who live in the US as Americans. They would refer to the American president, when really it should be the US president or the president of the USA. I really don't know where all of this, how this started, how we started like incorrectly referring to people who live in the US as Americans, but it seems rather unfair to me because it's ignoring everyone else who lives in America, and that is a huge amount of people. So I started thinking, like, well, what can we call the people who live in the US, in the USA? And And the part of the problem is there isn't really a good word. So for people who live in Britain, we can call them Britons. Or if you want to shorten it, you can call them Brits. Although I've never really liked that shortened version, as it feels a bit too informal to me, almost derogatory. But then what do you call people who live in the US? The best I could come up with, and this is like me inventing my own word, was like USian. And I thought, I wonder if this exists. So I searched for it on the internet, and there were some people mentioning this word, USian, who were sort of talking about the same thing I was, sort of saying like, we don't have a good way of referring to people from the US. We don't have a word like Britons, or I don't know, people who come from Germany, Germans, or people who come from France, French, and so on and so on. We don't have that. I think USians could work. I think it sounds a bit weird, but maybe if everyone adopted it, maybe it would start to sound normal given enough time. I don't know, but there really is no other good word. I mean, you could say North America, for example. You could say North American English. I have heard it called North American English when we talk about US English. But there's another problem there, isn't there? And that's that North America also includes Canada. So I don't really want to refer to it as North American English either, because that also seems incorrect to me when what I'm really talking about is US English. So moving forwards, in the future, in this podcast, I will try to be a lot more careful to correctly describe exactly what it is I'm talking about. So in the case of US English, I will say that. And in the case of people from the US, I guess I'm going to have to say US citizens. That will work. It's a bit long, but I think it's fairer to everyone else who lives in America that I don't ignore them by misusing the word America or Americans to mean a very small part of America. I don't think it's going to be easy because, the entire English-speaking world doesn't seem to do this, but I will make an effort. I will definitely try, and we'll see how it goes. It would be nice if everyone else could sort of join in and correct this mistake. I mean, I do feel it is a mistake. I do feel it is being used incorrectly. At the same time, I don't want to be rude to any people in the US, to any US citizens speaking US English. I don't want to say, no, you can't call yourself Americans anymore. You can't call yourself American English anymore. But if it's not quite correct, and if it's, I don't know, if it's sort of like unkind or unfair towards other people, then yeah, maybe it is a good idea to change it after all. So if everyone else joined in with me, then it would make it a lot easier for me to use the correct terminology. Well, not the correct terminology, use a more descriptive terminology for this. But I think like the biggest driving force behind this, the biggest power that could bring about this change is if US citizens stop referring to themselves as just Americans. Like I say, that's as weird as me just referring to myself as European and then just saying like, oh yeah, all Europeans love fish and chips, something like that. Or yeah, European English. Everyone in Europe speaks European English, which of course I would never do because I just think it's very disrespectful for all of the other countries in Europe if I suddenly start ignoring them and just pretend like England is the only country in Europe, which is, I don't know. Like I say, I've no idea why this is the case. I don't know how it happened. I don't know. I couldn't find any information about this. I did look. I did try and work out like why. Why did we do this? Why did this happen in the first place? So like I said, the email I received has just made me think about it many times since I received it. And I have been going around to different people saying, actually, maybe we should call it US English when I've had, different conversations with various people. So, yeah, there you go. Maybe it will make you think about it a lot as well as it did me. Okay, that is it for this episode. Until the next one, bye-bye.